Not as official as the ACC news, but Ross Dellinger, who we'll talk to later in about an hour and a half, Ross Dellinger reported yesterday that the SEC is moving closer to a conference-only schedule for 2020 and saying that his sources, multiple sources, have told Ross that a majority of athletic directors have already approved this 10-game schedule. And now today, the presidents of the SEC will all meet. They will talk about it at length. They may vote today. They may wait until next week. That said, I think at this point it almost feels inevitable that a conference-only 10-game schedule would happen for the SEC. Now, you may be asking yourself, Tebow, you only play 8 conference games, right? What's the schedule going to look like? Who are you going to add? Ross Dellinger does say that like one of the thoughts here, and it's not guaranteed, but one of the thoughts would be to add the next 2 SEC games in your rotation. And this makes sense to me, right? You're already going to play all the teams in your conference. Now you get to play more of the teams from the other half of the conference, the teams that you don't normally get to see. What would that mean for LSU? I think LSU would be a big winner in this case. You would get Kentucky and Tennessee. I love these matchups for a couple of reasons. First off, you are clearly better than Kentucky and Tennessee. You should win these games. So it helps you just in like any potential playoff scenario if that comes to pass. What I also like about this, though, is they are not bad teams. These are not like cupcake wins. You're still going to have to earn them. Kentucky and Tennessee are solid, middle-of-the-pack SEC teams right now, and there's so much hype around Tennessee. I'm maybe especially excited to see what the reality of them is this year. And let's be frank, right? I mean, Tennessee and LSU, when they get together, it's normally a very good time. You think back to the 21-0 lead that LSU blew at Tiger Stadium back in 2005. You had the SEC championship in 2007. Obviously, the craziness of the snap in 2009. Beat that ass in Knoxville in 2011. It's been a minute, though. So LSU would add Kentucky and Tennessee. The other things that jump off the page, other games that jump off the page here. How about this? Remember how we've been talking about how Florida has a huge schedule advantage over Georgia? And like they're set up, right? If this is the year, if they can beat Georgia, everything else is working out in their favor. Well, if they do this next 2 opponents schedule ad, it would be the most brutal for the Florida Gators. You would be looking at Florida adding Bama and Texas A&M. And a year in which Texas A&M has more hype than I can remember. That's saying a lot because there's been a lot of hype in recent years. But they would have to add Bama and A&M while Georgia would add Arkansas and Mississippi State. Damn, that is brutal. I love Mike Leach. I think Costello's going to do really good things at Mississippi State. I think they're like this scary underdog puncher that can knock you out at any time if you go half-stepping. That said, I would take Mississippi State 10 times over adding either Texas A&M or Bama to the schedule. So if this comes to pass, UF fans are going to be very upset there. By extension, as LSU fans, are we all in agreement that we're very happy that now Bama and Texas A&M would have to deal with Florida as well? I know I am. I'm sure you are too. Other games of note, Ole Miss is kind of interesting to me. Who they would potentially add? They would add Tennessee and Kentucky, just like LSU would. And okay, first off, if you're telling me that you don't want to see Lane versus Tennessee, I'm telling you're crazy because that's going to be spectacular. Kiffin returning to the place or wherever they would end up playing. Kiffin against the team that he basically left in the dark of the night. Also, we mentioned middle-of-the-pack SEC teams, right? I view all these 3 teams kind of in that same tier, and they're all trying to rise. Kentucky feels like they've been punching over their weight for a while now. They're becoming consistently middle-of-the-pack. That's good for them. Ole Miss, they were kind of good last year. Like Matt Luke did some nice things. He had a nice staff. Ken Lane Kiffin carries some of that momentum forward. And then in Tennessee, as we mentioned, they are up there with Texas A&M in terms of first team all hype in this offseason. And so I want to know what their true quality is. Auburn would be a pretty big winner. They would just add South Carolina and Mizzou. Both of those teams, Auburn should be far better than. So the SEC, look for some news maybe today if the president's vote. Maybe they delay it till next week. But it looks like this may be a no cupcake year. All good games, all conference games, all big brands going toe-to-toe, and fans are not, just from a pure viewing perspective. I think that sounds spectacular, and I hope it happens. One other thing to watch out as we go to commercial break here, the NCAA Board of Governors is scheduled to meet next Tuesday, in which could be a huge event for the 2021 fall athletic season. I don't know. They could potentially postpone championships in that meeting. Now, that would not affect Division I football. That championship exists independently of the NBA, but it would affect FCS football, volleyball, soccer, all those other fall sports. So we'll keep an eye on that, but we're not there yet. Today, we're celebrating what could be a very fascinating year of all Power 5 football, even if it is all interconference.